Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Green Witch Homestead. So I am back home. I was in Virginia last weekend at the Homesteaders of America conference with some pretty awesome people. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out. I didn't film that much, there was just so much going on, but I did get a little bit and get to say hi to a couple friends that I made along the way. We were there with most of the admin team from the Roots and Refuge Facebook page. We got a chance to meet each other and hang out at the Airbnb together, and it was amazing, and it was fun, and it was friendships that'll last a lifetime. But I'm back, and we had our very first super light frost last night. It dropped down to 37 degrees. That is a sign for me that it is time to start putting the garden away for winter. Now, does that mean I'm going to stop growing altogether? Of course not. I have a few tricks up my sleeve. Besides, I don't know if you can tell, but there's a few things that are still going pretty strong in this garden. These zucchini, for example, I will never ever grow zucchini in the spring, ever again. These things are massive. Zucchini are now officially a part of my fall repertoire as far as plants growing. I absolutely love zucchini. I make all kinds of things with it, and I've always had a problem, especially here in central Missouri, with squash bugs. So I usually don't get too many zucchini. They're a very, very difficult pest to handle organically. So one of the things that I discovered to help with that is to grow the zucchini plants in a time of year where the squash bugs aren't. And as you can tell, it works. So some of the things that I'm going to be doing today is these trellises behind me here. I'm going to get them all cleaned out, and then I'm going to use these cattle panel trellises, which as you can see are on the outside of each of these two long beds behind me. I'll show you like that. I'm going to drape greenhouse plastic over them and make a temporary high tunnel so that I can continue to grow in these two long beds throughout the winter. Now, I won't be able to grow tomatoes and peppers and things like that, but the high tunnel will keep the temperature up in here enough that I can grow lettuce, zucchini, squash, cucumbers, broccoli, cabbage, any of those types of plants. I haven't decided all of what I'm going to put in here. I know I've got some kale already in, and I'm definitely going to do lettuce. I love having lettuce all winter long. So the cattle panel behind me here is what I grew my noodle beans on, and I'm going to go ahead and harvest most of those off. I let some go to seed. I had a lot of people ask me for seeds for them, so I saved quite a bit. We're also going to do an experiment next year and see just how many we can grow down in the big garden, so I want a lot of seeds. But I'm going to go ahead today and get these all cleaned off so I can harvest the seeds from them, and then I'm going to readjust this panel here so it's the same height as this one. Today also officially marks the end of tomato and pepper season for me here in my garden. I still have a ton of green tomatoes on the plants, but it is now getting too cold at night, and it is now officially getting too cold throughout the day for them to ripen properly. So they won't actually ripen on the vine when the temperatures drop to a certain point, they'll just rot. So what we do is we go ahead and we pull all of the tomatoes off the plant, regardless of what state of ripening they're in, and we bring them inside. Some of them I will just set to let ripen on the shelf, but most of them I'll turn into things like green tomato salsa, green tomato jam is another really good one. I'll slice some up and put them in the freezer for making fried green tomatoes. The other thing that's coming in is all my peppers. Now, I'm going to do a separate video on the hot peppers because I'm not actually going to harvest the plants. I'm going to bring the entire plant inside. But my habanada peppers have exploded, and I'm going to go ahead and harvest most of my habanadas and my green peppers and a few of my hot peppers, and I'm going to dry them out in the dehydrator and grind them all up so that I can have my own version of paprika. I finished letting the animals out for the morning. I'm going to go inside, make myself a cup of coffee and some breakfast, and then starts the dreaded task of pulling out the summer garden. And as you can see behind me, there's a lot to pull out. It's something that I don't always enjoy doing because it kind of marks the end of garden season, but it is something that needs to be done. Look at your garden, see how it's doing, think about what's in there. Is it going to give me any more fruition, or is it time to let the soil rest? Side note, I didn't support these as good as I could have, but if you want flowers all the way into fall and beyond, plant zinnias. So I'm here by myself today, so I wasn't able to film the working progress of it. But basically I cleaned all of the beans off of the trellises, and I dropped them all down to the same level, so they are actually like sitting in the soil on the inside of the beds. I've put some supports on the outside to keep the bed frames up with the pressure of the trellis. I don't want them pushing the beds out, so I've got some stakes in the ground to hold that up. And I don't know if you can see, I've tucked the plastic underneath the trellis and kind of shoved it down into the dirt. I'm going to go through and straighten that up a little bit. I've got it all the way over. I've got to trim up. I've got a lot of excess plastic on that side, so I've got to trim that up and get that tucked in. But I have to make a trip to town to get some zip ties, because apparently I am out. So the reason I'm getting zip ties is because on these edges here, I'm not going to drape the material down. I'm actually going to go ahead and cut an arched panel out of the plastic, and then I'm going to use zip ties and zip tie it to the frame. That way I can actually make a door section so I can get in and out easy. I'm not concerned with it being airtight because this is just a high tunnel, and even with the ends open right now, it's probably already 10 degrees hotter under the plastic than it is out in the air. So it'll do its job, and it'll give me access. This end down here, I'm going to just close off, and this side here will be my in and out access point. The other thing to keep in mind when I'm doing this is that these garden beds have been exposed and outside all summer long, so there is going to be insects in them. So I am going to go ahead and dust everything with some diatomaceous earth while I still have it open, in hopes of scaring most, if not everything, out before I close it up for the winter, because I really hate to make a nice lovely home for my pests to overwinter as well. Alright, so the hardest part is done. I've got the tunnel plastic all the way up, and it's tucked, so it's underneath. I don't know if you can see it on that side. You can see it on this side. It's tucked underneath the cattle panel. And then I've got it zip tied along the outside edge. I will go ahead and run a tape seam as well when I get the edge pieces on. So this side will be a solid wall. This side is going to be a double wall so that I can open it. It's hard to explain, but you'll see when I do it. It's already hotter under here. So I'm super excited about this. This is a first for me, but it gives me these two entire beds that I can grow through pretty much most of the winter. Now, like I said before, I'm not going to be able to grow things like tomatoes and peppers, but I can grow a good abundance of greens like lettuce, kale, any root vegetables. I haven't really decided what's going in there yet. Had to come in out of the wind and the sun. It's getting a little bright out there. High tunnels are amazing, and I recommend, like everybody, if you have winter in your area, get a high tunnel. It's going to really extend your growing season, and it's going to allow you to have food all year long. What's nice about this is most people can afford to do this style of high tunnel. It's not sturdy and secure as the big professional ones, so I do still recommend saving up some money and getting a professionally built high tunnel. However, this is going to last you definitely 1, maybe 2 winters, and even longer if you take good care of it. And it's simply 3 cattle panels, which are, in my area, approximately $25–30 a piece, and then some greenhouse plastic, which you can actually ask around at your local extension centers, see if they have a Master Gardeners program, and if those Master Gardeners have a greenhouse, because they change their plastic every other year, whether they need to or not, and they may actually have some plastic to donate, which is where I got mine. So my greenhouse plastic is professional grade plastic, and it was 100% free. Now, I know that's not everybody's going to be able to do that, but it is something to encourage you to go out and ask. There's no harm in asking. The worst that's going to happen is someone's going to say no, and you're going to be right where you were when you started. So don't be afraid to ask. See what you can source as far as getting your greenhouse plastic. Go to your local nurseries, go to your local greenhouses, see if they have extra plastic that they have taken off of old tunnels, and if they're willing to donate it or sell it at a low price. If not, it's not that hard to buy it online. Depending on how big you make your high tunnel, you're probably looking anywhere from $100 to $150 in plastic, maybe cheaper. Also, you may have seen running around in the background, we got a new addition. This is Tucker. He's still, he's a little pup. Hi, baby. So he's looking for Shepherd right now. There's Shepherd. Come here. So most of y'all know Shepherd. Hey, give kisses? Yeah. Well, we got Tucker as a Jack Russell Terrier. And the reason that we got Tucker is to be a companion for Shepherd. Livestock guardian dogs are amazing dogs to have on your homestead, but they actually work better in pairs. And we didn't want another big dog because we don't have a huge space. But we did a little research and we found out that a great pairing for a livestock guardian dog is a smaller rat type terrier. So we found a Jack Russell. Actually, I think he's more of a Parsons Jack, which is the longer legs. And that pairing actually will help flush out small predators as well as large. Our big dog, he will help protect against fox, coyotes, bobcats, cougars, any of those big animals that come around the farm. We also have groundhogs, rats, raccoons, possums, and Shepherd will kill them or chase them off to protect our animals. However, Tucker will actually flush them out so that Shepherd can get rid of them. So they're kind of a dynamic duo in a sorts, and we're super excited to have him here on the homestead. It's going to take a little while for him to adjust to the situation and learn, but they already are an inseparable pair. Well, it's mostly done. Took me just a smidge longer than I thought it would today. This side is not completely closed off yet. I do have the piece, but as I was putting this last piece on, I was going to make it where I could just kind of open and close it. But as I was putting that last piece on, I realized just how hot it was actually getting in there. So I've gone ahead and just kind of taped it back so it'll stay open and stay aerated. Because it is still in the 60s out here. I don't want it to get too hot in there and kill everything. But yeah, there she is. We'll step inside here. And here's the high tunnel. It was quick. It was simple. For doing it myself and having a bad leg, it actually wasn't too difficult to do. I took a lot of breaks, so we're all in. Everybody's been freshly watered. I do have my wind chime in here, and I put a potted houseplant in here just to see, you know, kind of an experiment, see if I can get it to grow. But yeah, I moved my elephant ear in here, and it's nice. The two beds that are in here are 3 feet by 15 feet, so I have that twice in here, so I've got a good amount of growing space, and we'll work together, walk through this together through the winter and see how it works. I'm kind of excited, and if I can grow greens all through the winter. So you'll probably notice that I switched around. I said I was going to put the opening on that side and have this side closed off, but as I was going through the process, I realized that my hose comes from over there. So having the opening on this side makes more sense, because when I want to open it up and water it, I can come in this way. Now in the winter, I'm not going to be opening it up all the way like this because I don't want all that heat to get out, but I can still run the hose underneath because it's just going to be draped down and held in place with cinder blocks. So it's a little touch and go, you know, it's not perfect. It would be nice to be able to build a little 2x4 doorway there that I could actually like staple all the plastic to and make it a little bit more secure, but I'm working with what I got. And in all honesty, if you had to buy the plastic, you're probably looking at maybe $150, $200, and you have this huge greenhouse that you can grow all winter long. So give it a try, guys. So never say never, and see what you can do. Just because summer's over and the cold season's coming doesn't mean we have to stop growing our food. It never ceases to amaze me with a little bit of ingenuity what you can do to combat your area's growing season. We're on October 15th. My first frost date is coming up quickly. It does vary back and forth. Last year we didn't get our first actual frost until the middle of November, but this year it looks like it's going to be a normal season, and by the end of October we're going to be into our heavy frosts. So anything that you can do to extend your growing season, from bringing your plants inside to putting up a DIY high tunnel, or even going all out and getting a big professional high tunnel, is highly recommended. Take a peek at my friend's The Stivers video. He has a little bit more in-depth and a bit more construction based on a high tunnel that he keeps in place all year long. I will go ahead and link that video below. It's really informative, and it kind of gave me inspiration to do this with my arches. This clearly is not a permanent structure. Come next spring, I will go ahead and pull the plastic off very carefully and save it so that I can start using the cattle panels like trellises again and grow my beans and other things on them. The more you can do for yourself, the better off you're going to be in the long run, and the healthier you're going to feel knowing that the food you're eating and feeding to your family came just out of your own backyard. I hope you learned something today. I hope you give it a try. Leave a comment down below and let me know if you've ever done a high tunnel before, or if you want to give this one a try. Thanks again for watching, guys. Remember to subscribe if you like what you're seeing. Hit the little bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our uploads. And remember, guys, get your hands dirty.